Hello, seventh grade scholars. Today's lesson is on another William Carlos Williams poem, This Is Just to Say. So, when we think about a TP cast and starting with the title, This Is Just to Say. So, if you don't look at the poem and you just think, well, this is just to say? It sounds just like something really simple. Just want to say something really quick. Well, and as we already know from the Red Wheelbarrow, William Carlos Williams has some short poems. So, This Is Just to Say by William Carlos Williams. I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet, and so cold. So, looking at the poem now, we take a quick peek. It looks almost like it could be two sentences. There's no punctuation. The only capitals are I and then forgive me. So we could look at those as this is a sentence. Maybe we'd put a period here, and then this would be a sentence, period here. So I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox. He has done something. It's also looking at the title. It's almost like this should be part of the poem. So this is just to say, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet, and so cold. So it just sounds like a conversation or a note left in a refrigerator, on a refrigerator or in a kitchen somewhere. Sorry about that, I ate the last piece of pie, right? So when you look at this poem, there's no real, it's free verse, there's no real structure as far as rhyme goes. Like we said, there's one capital here, one capital there. It could be two sentences. It's very simple. So he has this confession, as I was saying. I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox. And now think about this. Icebox is not like a cooler that you take to the beach or the park. An icebox is what they used to call the fridge or the freezer. So in the icebox, it's where the fruit was kept cold or anything else that you want to keep cold, some milk or something. So there's a confession in the first stanza. So this is the first stanza. And then the second stanza, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. So I confess, I knew that you wanted to eat them for breakfast. You were probably saving them, and maybe you were looking forward to how delicious and sweet and cold they were. So there's a confession, and then there is, I know what you were going to do with them. And then, forgive me. So here's the third stanza. Forgive me. I loved them. They were so yummy, right? Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet, and so cold. That almost sounds like he's not very regretful about it. So forgive me, I loved it, and maybe I don't regret it, and that's why I'm writing this note, just so you know. Or, they were so good, thank you so much, please forgive me. I just really wanted them. So you could look at it a few different ways. And again, here we are as the reader trying to decide, well, what is the story? Did he know? Is he trying to get back at this person? And so he ate the plums and wrote a note? Or is he a really sweet person and he truly is sincere when he says, I'm so sorry, I really did love them, so I hope that makes you happy too, that I enjoyed something? So when I was in college, I was in Hawaii, and it was super hot, and I lived off campus my second year in this little peach house. We always called it the Peach House. And I had two other roommates that I didn't know very well, and they just stocked the fridge with tons of food, and so I didn't really have very much. Now, I'm not going to confess that I did something, but they did. So I was walking home from class one day, and I was just thinking, it's so hot, but I had just gone to the store, so I had my little corner in my fridge with these crisp apples, and I was really looking forward to going home and eating this juicy crisp apple. And when I got there, they were all gone. And I asked my roommates later, they weren't there, and I asked my roommates later, and they're like, oh, we're so sorry. We had a friend come over, and they were hungry, and they wanted an apple, and then we all had apples. So I said, sorry, they ended up buying me apples later. But I was really looking forward to that. So I know what it feels like to be on the other end of this poem, where someone takes the thing that you really wanted, or somebody treats you in a way that you didn't expect. So that's my little story. You might have some ideas about this poem. Feel free to make some comments. in the comments section here. What I'm going to look at here with you is, we know he's had this confession. We know that he knows what the other person was doing, wanted, and then there's some sort of forgive me or don't forgive me, maybe, right? So some people have talked about this poem and looked at really deep meaning and this symbolism of what is plums. And some people think that it refers to death, and the eating of that plum would be death, or maybe it's an allusion to the fruit of the tree, was it of good and evil, in the Garden of Eden, or the Adam and Eve. We've talked about Eden as an allusion, a reference outside of the text that the poet expects the reader to know. So plums could be greed, death, something related to Adam and Eve, a hunger for something. Maybe this person doesn't pay enough attention to this person who took those plums and ate them. So you can look at the symbolism. I'm going to ask you a question, and I'll know who's watched this video based on who writes in the comments. Do you think that the plums are symbolic of something deeper than just simple plums? Or do you think this is just a note on a fridge and it's one of those human things? So is there deeper meaning in the plum, and what do you think the symbolism of the plums are, or what is the symbolism of plum? And or the other option would be, what is it just a little note? Is it something someone said? What do you think it is? Symbol or just a human thing, a simple everyday interaction? So you decide. On that note, you will be writing a mimic poem. Yay! So mimic poems, again, you are copying the structure of the poet. So copy the structure, and you'll see these lines here. You can print this out. It's on my website, www.natalieclayton.com/7. 7, number 7. So you will look at the structure and you will confess something. Doesn't have to be true. Just come up with something. So I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox. I have stolen your homework that was in your backpack. Something like that. And which you were hoping to turn into your Latin teacher. So I knew that you were going to turn this into your Latin teacher, but I took it from your backpack. So you want to state what that other person is feeling or experienced or wanted to do. And then the last section, forgive me, I really needed to review my Latin. Let me rewind. Don't forgive me, or forgive me if you want. I really decided to do my own thing. Or it was important to me to take your homework. Or I'm mad at you because of the way you looked at me in the lunchroom. So don't forgive me. So maybe you don't even want to be forgiven. Or maybe you do, and then you're going to rub it in and say, I copied that Latin homework and you would never do this. I know none of you would ever do this. But it creates a story where you want to know what happened to these people beforehand and what's going to happen afterwards. So another one might be, and I'm just going off the cuff here, I have looked outside the window, and I know you probably didn't want me to see the Amazon package on the porch. So it's not following the structure exactly, but it's the concept. Forgive me. I am now so excited for my present. Or, forgive me. I hope that it's a present for me. Something like that. So you get the idea. You're more just looking at the concept. You don't have to follow each adjective, each noun. What's the concept? Confess something. What did the other person want to do, or what were they expecting? And then forgive me or don't forgive me, and maybe why, or what was your experience? So that will be due tomorrow. So the next class period, which I believe will be Friday, the 20th, March 20th. So that is due, and I'll have this written up for you. But do your best, and you'll be submitting it through Google Classroom again. More information will be written. Thanks for looking at this poem with me today. Go ahead and write in the comments if you'd like to say something about the poem. Talk to you later.